Hey guys, what's up? It's Schlaw, and I don't know. Sorry, I'm gonna have to do the whole thing. Hey guys, what's up? It's Schlaw, and today I'm coming back to ya with another episode of Car Rides with Schlaw. And I'm losing my mind right now because my windshield wipers are on and they will not shut off. Kind of odd. Never happened before. Um, I, I don't know, but it's kind of annoying because it's definitely not raining. I don't know. I just don't know what's going on because I know I didn't leave them on. Like they're off and they're still running. So I don't know. Oh, good. They finally shut off. Kind of what I don't know what my theory was actually. I guess my theory was that maybe some auto sensor got triggered somehow, and then it like maybe there was some dried up water because it looks like there's a lot of like dried up residue on there somehow. I'm not really sure how or why, and that might have been over top of the sensor or something. I honestly don't know, but I'm just glad that shut off because that was really getting annoying. Now, what were we talking about today? I don't know. I've been thinking a lot recently, and I guess I've just been feeling a little bit concerned about the show and about my ability to really speak well enough and all that. I mean, I want to be this really good speaker and I want to have this really good show, and it's just a little bit, I guess I just don't know that I'm good enough, or I mean, maybe I'm good enough, but I really want to push. I want to make every episode good and all that kind of stuff, and I guess the truth is that's just unrealistic, especially with the kind of content that I make and the natural human fluctuations that occur. Maybe I'm just like thinking about it too much. I'm not really overly upset about it. It's just been, thoughts I've been having. You know what I mean? Like where I'm trying to think about things and just how recently it almost feels like I'm out of things to talk about. Not that I really ever am, but it's just kind of that mindset. You know what I'm saying? And it's always something I've thought about, right? I mean, I just want to be like the best at this. And I'm not there yet, but that doesn't really mean too much, right? Because I have a lot of time to grow, and I think I've said that a million times too. It's like I have no idea where I'm going to be after years of doing this, and it's probably just inevitable that some things will be repetitive or certain episodes will have dry spots or things like that. Something I wanted to talk about today, though, and I think I had an additional topic, but I've forgotten at this point. No, I think I remembered both of them, actually, unless there was a third one I forgot about. And I don't think I talked about this too much on the channel yet, but the idea that in the future all computing will be done via the cloud, and you won't be allowed to have local computers. So it really makes a lot of sense that they would implement it, not only because it could theoretically just make more sense, period. Cloud computing. I'm not sure about the logistics of it, and I'm kind of frustrated I didn't ask AI because I am a little bit curious about it, but I wonder if it is more efficient to do cloud computing than to have everybody running their own hardware at home. You know what I mean? Is it actually more efficient? Because I don't know how it works transferring data over an internet connection, but I don't know. I assume it probably takes a good amount of electricity, but maybe it doesn't. And that's kind of what I'm saying. Like maybe of environmental and electrical impact is actually lower. And that's kind of what I'm thinking of what would push them to do the cloud only thing, is if it's less of a strain on the environment, which it's possible it could be. I mean, besides that, cloud computing just makes more sense in the long term, because you could have things hooked up to a desktop that are much, much smaller and better than a desktop, right? So in the future, right now you have a phone that has to do all its own processing and running its own things, which drains a lot of battery life, obviously, and it's fairly inefficient. If you removed most of that space you could make hyper efficient but weak CPU and all those kinds of things, you could fit a much larger battery inside the phone, and its performance could technically be higher. Because in the future, if we put up like 1 million cell towers and you always have full bars of service, it's not going to make sense to use local hardware anymore. Because if you have a constant internet connection, and if eventually they improve latency enough, I mean, think about that. You could just have some supercomputer power, but your actual phone's battery is not really going to get depleted, because you're just going to be connected to a cloud computing thing. So they're going to want to do this because of tracking. I did actually remember the original thing I wanted to talk about, by the way. It just came to my mind. I just blurted out that I remembered it. They're going to want to do it because it's going to make sure everything's tracked, right? And everything's all good to go. They're going to implement this stuff. I mean, it's going to happen. I'm sure I'll probably see it in my lifetime. So it's another prediction, although admittedly a crazier one, but nonetheless, it still could happen. It definitely could still happen, But it is a little bit on the crazier end. Wow, I don't know that I've seen that before. I just saw one of those Mercedes vans. I think they're called like the Metris or something like that. And it had like a height boost. It had a pretty high ground clearance. Looked kind of interesting. I'm not entirely sure what the purpose of that would be, but I don't know, kind of cool. Because I would think it would be to have more space underneath, but it didn't. It doesn't. It just had a height boost. So I'm very confused why you would want that. Because you see minivans driving around with a height boost, but then they put space underneath. What? Sorry, I was just like so confused. This person, I think they were confusing people. They were like in reverse, and they were kind of off to the side in the road. It was just kind of dicey for no reason. Anyways. No, I don't remember what I was talking about. Well, I'm just going to talk about. Actually, what was I originally going to talk about? Yeah, a lot of the tech stuff I talk about, I'm not certain if I'm in agreement with it. I just think it's going to happen. A lot of this feudalism stuff, if I'm even saying, I hope I'm saying feudalism correctly, because that would be pretty embarrassing if I didn't even know how to pronounce that. A lot of this stuff, I'm not saying I agree with it. I think everybody has a reason to be against it. It's not really for our betterment at all. So there's definitely a reason to not want it. But I just think it's inevitable, honestly. I just see the way people act nowadays and all. And I completely see how that kind of a system is going to be put into place where eventually our property gets seized and everything kind of functions as a subscription. You don't actually ever own anything. I don't see how people are going to stop, because so many people are just diving into that mindset wholeheartedly, and there's not really enough resistance. I mean, some people, I think, do care about resisting, but a lot of people don't. And I don't know what's really being done about it. So I guess I just wanted to clarify that with these predictions is, I mean, me personally, I'm all for like tangible possessions. I have a lot of stuff, actually. I probably own more things, and if you added up my net worth of possessions, it's probably worth more than what most people have, especially at my income, which is kind of what I said. I mean, I kind of overspent a little bit, but I actually have a lot of possessions, so I don't directly benefit from an ushering in of this kind of a system. But I just think it's going to happen. I think it's fairly inevitable. And that's kind of why I speak on it. And I guess I'm just trying to be optimistic that I will be a part of the class that benefits. But I obviously don't know if that's going to be the case or not. But I'm saying hypothetically, if we do get routed into that two-class system where there's just everybody lower and then like a top 5%, I could be in that top 5%. But again, I don't want to act like cocky about it, because it's just like, I don't really know. But I'm just saying, it's not really about disagreement. And I think I've said this before. I don't really have an issue with a liberal democracy. I'm actually quite interested in having political debates and being educated on things, doing research. I'm all for it. I just don't see how anybody does that and how it's going to last. I can't see it, given all the trends and trajectory of things. Now, if things end up getting better, then that's fine. You know, I don't care. I'll still be fine. But I'm preparing for the worst. And I think the worst is what's coming, honestly. I don't see why property seizure is not... It's planned and it will happen. You know what I mean? That's at least what I mean, I don't know. Like I said, in the future, we might not even own cars. I have no idea what's going to end up... Well, no, I actually kind of figure that's what'll happen. Like I said, everything will be kind of rent-based. I don't know. They're just restructuring society, I think, and we can't win. We can't really do anything about it. There's just not enough people. You know, I think I've explained that before. Now, is that nihilistic of me? It's possible. But I really don't see it. I don't see it. You know, and that is a huge issue, right? I just don't see it. I'm sorry. And I'm not trying to be nihilistic. Like, I used to be the type of guy who really wanted to change things and see a better society. I always thought like that. I always felt like it. But I've just, after experiencing people, I don't see how that's going to happen at all. There's no desire for people to improve or be the best versions of themselves. I just don't see any of that. So it's just keep it in mind. You know what I'm saying? Just keep it in mind. So I don't know. I guess you could say I'm pessimistic or nihilistic, but I really think if you observe the human condition. It just seems like that's where we're headed, guys. I don't know. It just seems like it. Yeah, I honestly might like the Range Rover Sport a little better. I'm getting a real good look at a brand new one right now, and I think they really made it look better this gen. It usually looks really bad in comparison to the full size, but I don't know. I think it looks very sharp. I almost think it looks better. I think I said that before. So my blacked out full size might become a blacked out Sport. Not really sure, but I don't know. It looks pretty sharp. Now, where were we? Another thing I thought about today, and I had talked about the drink thing before, about how I think drinks should be illegal unless they're water or milk. And I didn't realize, because I mean, I've realized it. I've always said it to myself or to other people, how much of a waste of money drinks are, and how it's basically a rich person's luxury because drinks are completely unnecessary. They have no nutritional value, right? And they cost a lot. They cost a lot to ship. They break in shipping. I mean, there's all kinds of disasters that make it so that the whole liquid industry is just a huge joke. It's all nonsense, really. It's all total nonsense. And I was thinking about that today, and I'm realizing that is an area where I save a lot of money. Because I'm trying to figure out how much most people my age are spending, because I'm still at a loss, honestly, as to how, I don't know, people are in as bad shape as they are. And I mean people who also comparatively don't have to pay rent. You know what I mean? I'm not talking about, like, obviously if you have to pay rent, you're probably not going to be in good shape. Period. But I'm saying there is like a class of people who are in my demographic of in their 20s, and they live in a situation where they don't have to pay rent. Like I said, I just looked at it. Something like 52% of people 18 to 29 live with their parents. So there is a lot of people in that demographic. And then there also are a lot of them that don't go to college and so don't have student loan debt. So there's that too. You know what I mean? And I mean, maybe that's a subset further. I'm not sure what it is. It could be half. Maybe like half of that 52 have college debt, half don't. I'm just saying that because I can't really gauge it properly, but I just have a hard time understanding what people do, and I think a lot of money gets wasted on food. I think I mentioned the fruit lie that is sold to everybody, that, you know, because fruit is so expensive and inefficient, it's not even super profitable for the stores themselves, let alone, you know, you're not getting a good value either. They go bad pretty quickly, etc., etc. It's just all around a bad deal, fruits and vegetables too, but vegetables are a little more of a value because you have more vitamins and minerals. But a lot of people buy fruit, a lot of people eat fruit, a lot of people like fruit, and it's another rich person's luxury. I mean, if you're, and I don't think people see it that way, that's the scary part. A lot of these things, some people just like it and get it, and they don't think about it. You know what I mean? But fruit's very expensive for the nutritional content it provides. It's incredibly expensive, and you really don't get a lot for your money, and it's not really efficient for the stores to sell it. But who knows? I mean, I could look into it, and what if it turns out the profit margin is high? I'm not really sure. But it's just a mess, and it's a waste. And drinks, people get a lot of these drinks, even alleged health drinks people get. And it's just all a scheme. It's any drink is not, it's just not even worth your while. And I see people who get them daily. You know, always have some kind of drink. I couldn't even, you'd have to pay me. You'd have to pay me to drink drinks. Like, if it was like $2, no, like, I'm not going to buy it for $2. You'd have to pay me $2 to drink it, because I don't even know how you guys like that stuff. I really have not had a drink in so long. Like, and I'm not talking about drinks as an alcohol, but I mean, that's a whole other expense. I'm just talking about juice, dude. Like, I don't even ever want juice. I never think about it. I'm so addicted to water. Like, that's all I think about. That's all I want. And when there's something that isn't water, it's just, it's frightening. It's unsettling. It's not, I don't know how you guys operate. Dead serious. It's deadly. It's deadly, the stuff y'all drink. I just don't understand. I mean, I don't know. It's just like so gross. It's foul. It's disgusting. Yeah, I know. Now I'm just like not even getting absolutely nothing done talking wise. I don't know. I don't like drinks, and they're not good, and they're a huge waste of money. So what I'm saying is, I guess there is efficiencies that I do that I take for granted, and I don't really understand how low the bar could be. Because then there's other people where if I had this conversation with them, they'd think I'm crazy, and they'd have no idea what I'm talking about, and just say, "Oh, but the drink's only this much. Oh, but the drink's only $5. You know what I mean? Like, people say that kind of stuff, but it adds up, you know? Now, my vice is the technology. I do spend a lot on that, but that's obviously a much more tangible product than something you just drink and then expel from your body. I mean, you know, I don't know. Not the most tangible, bear in mind. I mean, tech ages, it gets outdated. So I don't want to toot my own horn that much. I still consider it a vice. The amount that I'm obsessed and addicted to buying technology, it's a vice. It's my vice. You know? But yeah, I'm just trying to figure out, like, what most people do. Now, what was interesting is when I asked GPT about my prediction with credit, how it's like 15%, 25%, and then 55%. I don't know if you guys remember, but I said I would guess it's like about 15% of people game the credit system and end up benefiting from it due to being intelligent about picking which cards they get and spending at the right stores to get the bonuses right. Like, there are people who do that. I am one of them. And that's like 15%. Then 25% is relatively neutral. They use credit, but they pay it off most of the time. But they're not really maximizing the points or anything like that. They're just, it's good for them. It's like neutral to a slight positive because it's sometimes convenient to not have to pay immediately, right? So yeah, then you have that group. But then you have the 55%, which is people who, throughout the course of their life, credit existing is definitely just a net negative. Point blank period. There's just nothing to be said about it. You know what I mean? So, and I was right. So I said all this to GPT, and it said I pretty much nailed it. It estimated the 15% group is more like 14 to 18%. But besides that, I pretty much nailed all the metrics. So I don't know. I was like amazed by that because I was just guessing. And yeah, it turns out pretty accurate. So a little over half of the population just completely is stupid when it comes to credit and does a bunch of dumb stuff with it and just doesn't benefit from it at all, which is kind of crazy to think about, but it is the truth. And it's why I said in a previous episode, technically, if you wanted a politician to really fix things, they would either get rid of credit entirely or make it so that there's no rewards and there's no profit involved with credit or something like that. That would be a solution. Although, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but the problem is having credit and financing does make things cost more because it allows companies to charge more for things. So if you didn't allow financing, they would be forced to make cars cheaper because people wouldn't be able to buy them. You know, like financing is usually portrayed as something that helps poor people because if you can't afford it all at once, then you can finance it so you can at least get something. And I guess it could be true, but the truth is, if you banned financing, I think car manufacturers would just have to make their cars a lot cheaper. I don't really think there would be much else to it. I'm not sure if it would hurt poor people that much. I don't know, though. You know, like, because it does help with accessibility, but I think the similar thing happens with college tuition. It's like, once you know you can get student loans, what's stopping the colleges from just charging more for tuition? There's no reason for them not to just charge more. Because now they can. Because now people can buy it. But if you had a society where there was no credit allowed and no financing allowed, it would force companies to have to make things cheap enough to buy. And it would change everything, you know, but again, ironically, I think it would actually help poor people more. I think also just psychologically it's better. It is parasitic. It's another thing that's it's just taking advantage of people. So human psychology doesn't feel as bad buying something on credit because they don't have to immediately pay it. You know, it's just abusing people who don't really know any better. I'm not super sure why people are comfortable doing it. Like I said, I assume the billionaire class has some type of belief system where they just see it as a bird eats a worm and a hawk eats a bird, you know, like I assume they just see it as like this is just life and we get away with it and people don't rise up. But I don't know how it's really morally justified. I guess they see peasants as stupid, and so since they think they're shaping a better world, it eases them of whatever guilt that they would feel in doing so. Because I'm sure they have to have some kind of a justification. I don't think elites are stupid, but I'm assuming that's the justification for it. But yeah, it really would be interesting to think about what would happen. Now, obviously, credit, I guess it's good for progress because it does facilitate more consumer spending, so it leads to more growth. But I think that the financial institutions who do all the processing and stuff, that's actually, by making the APRs high and everything, that actually does not really promote growth. So I think ideally it would actually promote more consumer spending to have lower interest rates, because then the people would be able to buy even more and not get as penalized. Because a credit card company is not, at least as far as I know, I don't really think they're that good for the economy or anything like that. You know what I mean? I don't think they contribute or really do anything too meaningful. Like banks and credit cards, they kind of just exist and get a ton of money. So that whole system really should get changed. Although it is a regressive tax, which I guess that's good for growth, but it's not moral. But regressive taxes can be good for growth because it's technically shifting money out of the hands of, again, the like lower class, which presumably would not do as much with it. Whereas if it's in a credit card company's hands, they can do corporate stock buybacks and buy stocks and invest further or something. So I guess you could argue that, but I actually think that having lower APYs or APRs, I think it's APR for, I actually don't know though. Lower interest rates on credit cards, it really could help because it could actually let people buy even more. I'm not entirely sure. But I'm just confused why people, I can't wrap my head around why people do it. It's because they don't understand. That's why I'm saying it's parasitic. Or I don't know, maybe people really don't care, but I've never felt comfortable. Like if I would never buy something if I didn't have the money to buy it. And I guess maybe I'm in a privileged situation to think that way because there's a lot of people who may be working paycheck to paycheck and then a new computer comes out and they really want to get it and they don't have any money to, but it's, you know, it's been like a year since they've even treated themselves, and then, you know, maybe they just want to have something fun, you know, because they work all the time and all that kind of stuff. You know, so I guess I can understand that, and maybe I'm in a place of privilege where throughout my life I was taught to save my money from my parents, and I've never been out of money. My entire life, I just didn't spend that much, I guess. I guess I just spent less than most people because I've always had money. You know, I mean, when I was younger, it was just a few $100s, but I wouldn't blow it. I would just keep it. Whereas I would hear other people spend it, you know? So I think I just always was raised that way, but also it's an intuitive thing too. Now, during my teenage years, I splurged a lot. You know, I definitely overspent, but I still always made sure I had money. I don't think my bank account ever dipped under $1,000. You know, it was always, that was kind of like a floor that I wanted to keep it at. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really never did anything too reckless, and it's just confusing to me how people do that. Like, I don't know if my life, and again, I understand I'm in a privileged situation, living with my parents, no expenses, you know, had food and stuff like that. But I'm saying if I had to pay for things, I really still don't, like, I don't think I would be comfortable doing it. You know, I do think I'm just intrinsically more money conscious than a lot of people. But yeah, because what I'm trying to get at is I'm not comparing myself to somebody who has no privilege. I'm saying I'm comparing myself to people of similar privilege. It seems like some people just blow it. I've known people where they're in a similar kind of situation to me. It's not that much different. And yet they have no money. And I do. So it's not just a privilege thing, but I obviously understand, you know, that some people just can't. And maybe if their life is that draining, you know, just getting a burger is a nice treat and they just have to do it and they don't have any money anyway and they just figure, oh, you know, whatever. But I don't think I would think like that. I think I just wouldn't get the burger. And I think I just wouldn't get the computer, but I'm assuming that's why some people accrue debt is because they just have goals and dreams and stuff, and they still want to be able to live even though money's not, they actually really shouldn't. And credit just makes it possible to have some kind of facade, It's a maturity thing, though. I mean, I think about that. Like, I want certain things, and it's partially ego. I'll admit to it. But I do get a lot of use out of most of the technology I have. It's not like I just do it for ego. But what the thing is, when you buy things for show or for flashing, it usually doesn't matter. And I think I talked about this before. Most people don't notice or care. You know what I mean? I do. I notice if someone has an interesting car, things like that, and I look and I lust. But most people don't, and they don't even know what things are. And so it's kind of sad. Even phones, like I can look at a phone, identify it, and kind of know how much it's worth or how special it is. You know what I mean? And most people don't do that. So I think that's kind of sad, personally. It's just like, because people do spend a lot on these lifestyles to keep up appearances, but I don't think that many people actually even care or notice. That's the sad part. And if people do notice, it's only for like a second. I mean, I drive by so many homes on the way home from work every day, and I couldn't really like tell you, oh, this guy's shutters are messed up, or like you're driving, you barely even notice. That's like the crazy irony of modern life, is people spend a lot on having these crazy homes, or even just a home, or like showing off, decorating. Like, nobody even notices anymore. Life's so fast, and it's always better to look at a screen than out your car window. It doesn't even matter. You know what I mean? It matters to me. It matters to me. I love to see interesting cars. I really wish more people bought interesting cars. I'm sad I no longer have an interesting car. I really do care. Like, it means a lot. It really means a lot to me. And I wish more people supported interesting things. But, this is where we're living at. And there's just a lot of people where things don't matter. I don't know why, but it's pretty sad. I think it's pretty sad. Because I definitely notice things, and I want to have kind of a more interesting world. It's just not like that. But, of course, there is a subset that I guess you can impress. It's just not that many people. I don't know. It's just not. So I don't think I got to talk about some of the other things I wanted to talk about, but that's okay. Guess I gotta talk about maybe tomorrow. I'm just glad I got my computer fixed. Now I'll actually be able to chill and have, a break when I get home. It's gonna be nice to have a relaxing morning and a relaxing evening. It's gonna be very nice. So, but it's also nice to do my car rides with Schlaw. At this point, it is so routine. I'm not really sure how I'd ever stop. Like I said, even if I ended up, I don't want to say that, because but I really want to keep this thing going. I think it's really a wonderful thing, and it makes me hate the fact that I can't walk to work a little bit less. Now, hopefully, I'd be able to just rent a place near work and walk to work. That would really be the kicker, right? But we can only dream. For now, I still have to do the horribly inefficient car commute, which costs $1 million and is bad for the environment too, because we have a severely unoptimized society. Hopefully one day will change, but who knows? Like I said, I just think there's going to be rented cars. I don't know how much better it's going to get for people who actually want to own a car. It's just weird. I really think it's going to be strange just seeing everything collapse. I think we will in our lifetimes. At least people in our 20s. I mean, I guess it's possible things won't. No, I don't know. Because, I mean, I am sort of old. I think it's more so for people who are just being born now that are like, they're really going to see it. But I don't think their perspective will be the same. Whoa, it's been Schlaw, but it's time to buy Schlaw. See you, Schlaw. Whoa.